All right, you guys, we just finished up our unit on exponents, so we are starting a new unit today. And today's notes kind of look a little bit different. That's because we are defining some things. I'm actually combining the videos, so my Sec 1 class and my Sec 2 class, this video is for both of you guys. So my Secondary Math 2 kids, this is going to look familiar, but a review is never bad, okay? So we're introducing you guys to algebra. So today we're gonna go over some vocabulary used in algebra. Okay, don't worry about the name and the date, that's totally fine. Okay, so first things first, let's define equation. Okay, a math sentence that states two quantities are what? Okay, they are equal. Okay, a math sentence that states two quantities are equal, right? Equation, equal, right? It will have an equal sign, okay? Meaning that sign right there. Okay, so if it doesn't have an equal sign, it is not an equation, and we'll get to that in a second. The equation says what is on the left. So let's figure out what is on the left right here. Okay, what is on the left, 3x minus 4, is equal to what is on the right, okay, on the right. So boom, left is 3x minus 4 is equal to 7. Okay, awesome. So let's go to parts of an equation. Okay, so parts of an equation. First word we need to define is a variable. A variable is a letter. Okay, so in that space, we are writing letter that represents a number we do not know yet. Okay, so look over here. Where's your variable? It's right there, right? It's that x. That x is actually like covering up a number, okay? A value we don't know yet. That's what we're gonna try and figure out. It's kind of like a puzzle. Okay, every variable has a coefficient. We've already kind of talked about these terms a little bit, but every single variable has a coefficient, okay? So what is the coefficient for our x? Okay, it's 3 because the coefficient is the number in front of the variable. Okay, the number in front of this x is the 3. It can be positive or negative. It can be a positive number or a negative number. In this case, it's a positive number. Okay, so now let's talk about a constant. Okay, so I'm gonna label, so let's say we identified our variable, put our variable in purple. So our variable was x. Okay, let's identify our coefficient. We'll say our coefficient is red. Okay, so our coefficient was 3. And then let's do our constant in green. Okay, so our constant is a number with no variables, so that blank space, variables attached. A number with no variables attached. Okay, so we have two constants in here. We have -4 and 7. Okay, a number with no variables attached. Those are just numbers. Okay, let's talk about terms. Okay, a term is any of the following. Okay, a single number, a single variable, or the product of a number, a coefficient, and a variable, meaning they're being multiplied together. Okay, terms are separated, so let's write this down. Separated by addition and subtraction signs. Okay, so that's what separates them. Okay, so let's look down here. This is our expression, okay, not an equation because I don't see an equal sign. This is our expression. So first of all, how many terms do we see? Remember, they're separated by addition and subtraction signs. So how many terms do we see? I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so 6 terms in this first expression. Okay, well, let's list these terms out. It's actually asking us to list them out. So our first term, 2k. Okay, when we're making a list, we can do commas in between. Our second term, 15. Okay, our next term, m. Okay, I'm not including the signs because the signs separate them. Okay, 3, n, and 7p. And you know what? I just changed my mind. Let's include the signs. Okay, so we have a positive 15, so that doesn't need the sign. Negative m, include the sign. Negative 3, and negative 7p. Okay, so we do include those signs. Okay, what are our variables? Okay, remember, variables are the letters that represent numbers. Okay, so what are our variables? We have, I see a k, an m, an n, and a p. Okay, those are all the letters that represent numbers. Okay, so let's list those out. K, m, n, and p. Okay, what about our coefficients? Okay, coefficients. Remember, coefficients, we need to look back up here. They're the the one number in front of the variable. Okay, so what are our coefficients? What are some numbers that are in front of variables? Okay, so I see 2 and negative 7. Okay, but I also see an n and an m. Okay, what coefficients are in front of this n and this m? Okay, what coefficient is there and there? Okay, so there's always a 1, and in front of the m, it's actually a negative 1. So we have negative 1 and 1 are also coefficients. Okay, constants are numbers with no coefficients attached. So what's left? 15, negative 3. Beautiful. Okay, let's look at our next one. So first, how many terms do I have? They're separated by addition and subtraction signs. Okay, so I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 terms. Okay, let's list them out. I have negative 8, negative 4c, positive 7, negative c, negative 12c, and negative 2. Those are all of my terms. Okay, now let's find our variables. Okay, variables are the letters. So I just see C, all C's this time. So you can just list one C. Okay, my coefficients. Those are the numbers, in front of the letters. Okay, so I see a negative 4. What is that variable right there, the invisible one? Negative 1 and negative 12. Negative 4, negative 1, and negative 12. Okay, constants, any numbers you see that aren't attached to variables, don't have any letters next to them. Okay, I see negative 8 doesn't have a C, 7, and negative 2. Negative 8, 7, and negative 2. Awesome. Okay, let's flip our notes over to the very top. Let's talk about an expression. So we talked about an equation. Equations have equal signs, right? Let's talk about an expression. So an expression is a group of terms, contains numbers, blank, and variables. Okay, contains numbers, blank, and variables. Okay, we're going to put operation signs. Actually, addition and subtraction signs. Okay, it does not contain, so expressions never have what? Does not contain an equal sign. Okay, if it did, it would be an equation, not an expression. Okay, so it gives us this expression right here. So now it's asking us to label the parts of the expression, the coefficient, the constant, and the variable. Okay, so what is this blank space right there? It's pointing at this 8. Okay, is this 8 a coefficient, a constant, or a variable? Okay, that is a coefficient. It's right in front of that y. Okay, so in this first one, coefficient. Okay, the next blank space right here, it's pointing to the y this time. Is the y the constant or the variable? Or maybe another coefficient. What is it? A coefficient, constant, or variable? Okay, the y is a variable. Remember, variables are letters. Okay, so that is a variable. Okay, variable means it can vary. This can be any number of numbers. It can be some different numbers, right? Okay, so the last blank space is pointing to this -7 here in the middle. Is this a constant or a coefficient, excuse me, a coefficient, a constant, or a variable? It's a constant. Okay, a constant is a number with no variables attached. Good job. Okay, how many terms are present in this expression? How many terms do we see? I see 1 separated by plus and minus signs, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, list them. Our first one was 8y, comma. Our next one is -7, comma. And our last one is positive 2y. Perfect. Okay, let's go to our next expression that it gives us. So we have some blank spaces to fill again. So our first blank space is pointed to the, it's pointed to this circled m. So what is that m? Is it a coefficient, a constant, or a variable? That is a variable, right? It's a letter. Okay, so we have variable right there. Second blank space. We have 4. Is this 4 a constant, a coefficient, or a variable? It's a constant. Okay, it is not attached to any variables. It's just a number by itself, so it's a constant. Okay, last one, it's this -7 that's right in front of this m. So is that a constant, a coefficient, or a variable? That one is a coefficient, right? It's right in front of a variable, which tells us it's a coefficient. Okay, how many terms are present in this expression? Okay, so let's count them up. They're separated by plus and minus signs. So we have m, 4, 2, -7m, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 terms. And now let's list them. M, 4, 2, -7m, and 6. Beautiful. Okay, so down here, it's asking us to identify the terms, variables, coefficients, and constants in each expression. Okay, so here's our first expression. Let's do number 3. Okay, so number 3, what are our terms? First of all, how many terms are there? We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let's go ahead and list them. So we have -4a is one, -7b is the next one, +5, and +c. Okay, now let's find our variables. Okay, so variables are the letters, so I see an A, a B, and a C. Okay, so A, B, and C. Okay, coefficients. So what are the numbers right in front of the variables? Okay, so there's an A right there, so this -4 is a coefficient. Okay, there's a B right there, so that -7 is a coefficient. And what is the coefficient in front of this C? It is 1, right? A +1. Good job. Okay, last one, we have constants. Any numbers that are right by themselves, or just by themselves, right? No letters or variables attached. Okay, it's just this 5 right there. That's the only one without a variable. So our only constant is 5. Okay, awesome. So let's look at number 4. Actually, I don't need to move the paper. We're good. Okay, so number 4, here's our expression, right? No equal sign. So what are our terms? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. So let's list them out. We have 7. Okay, we have -5h. We have -2. And we have -k. Okay, now let's find our variables, our letters. I see an H and a K. So our variables are H and K. Okay, now our coefficients. What are the numbers right in front of the variables? So our variables were H and K. So I have a -5 in front of that H. Okay, what is the coefficient for that K? It's a -1, right? We got to include that sign. Okay, now the last thing, constants. Numbers that have no variables attached, no letters. So I see 7 has no variables and -2. Awesome. Okay, number 5. What are our terms? We have 1, 2, 3 terms. First one is 5. Second one is -4x. And our last one, -8y. Okay, our variables. The letters, I see an x and a y. Okay, coefficients. Numbers right in front of those variables. So the x is right here, which means our -4 is a coefficient. Our y is right there, which means -8 is a coefficient. Okay, and our constants, the numbers that are by themselves, they have no variables attached. I just see that 5. +5. Okay, 6. What are our terms? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Our first one is 9k. Second one is 7. Third one is -k. And our fourth one is 4. Okay, our variables. I see a K and a K. That's the same letter, so we can just write one of them. Okay, our coefficients, the numbers in front of those letters. So I had my K right here, so that means 9 is a coefficient. And then what is the coefficient in front of this K? -1. Okay, and lastly, we have our constants. Numbers with no variables attached, 7 and 4. Beautiful. Okay, let's go on to our second page of notes. Okay, so our last term that we need to identify, we talked about equations, we talked about expressions. Now we're talking about inequalities. Okay, equations are where they're equal, right? Well, inequality means they are not equal. Okay, a mathematical sentence that contains the symbols greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, and less than and equal or equal to. Okay, so we can write those out right here. So this one is greater than, use the correct than, we're comparing things. Okay, less than. This one, because it has that little line underneath, okay, that means greater than or equal to. So sometimes they can be equal. And this one means less than or equal to. Okay, so tell whether the following phrases, now that we've learned all three, expressions, equations, and inequalities, let's tell whether they are an expression, an equation, or an inequality. Circle the key symbol, okay? Meaning what tells you it's an expression, what tells you it's an equation, what tells you it's an inequality. So let's look at number 1. What is this guy? An expression, an equation, or an inequality? This is an inequality. Okay, because we see that sign right there, that tells us inequality. Okay, number 2, what is this one? Okay, it is an expression, nice. Because there's no equal sign, there's no greater than, any of those caret signs, right? We just have a subtraction sign. Okay, remember, expressions just have addition and subtraction signs. Okay, what about number 3? Good job. This is also an expression because of that subtraction sign. Okay, number 4. Look closely, look at the signs. This one is in fact an inequality because there's our less than sign right there. Okay, ooh, what about this one, number 5? Okay, it doesn't have any subtraction or addition signs, but does it have an equal sign or a greater than, less than, any of those signs? No, it does not. So this one is still an expression. Okay, and it's because it has that little division sign in the middle. Okay, what about 6? Look at the signs. Great, this is an equation because there's our equal sign. Okay, number 7, also an equation because of our equal sign. And number 8, an inequality because of our greater than or equal to sign. Nice job. Okay, so we're doing a little bit more practice down here. Let's find our terms. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. Let's list them. -5a, -7, 5d, and h. Okay, our variables, the letters, a, d, and h. Coefficients, the numbers in front of the variables. So -5 is in front of that A, 5 is in front of the D, and then, what is that one? 1 is in front of the H. Okay, constants, numbers by themselves, we only have 1 in here, and that is -7. Okay, the next one, we also have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. 7m, -5, -n, -8k. Okay, our variables, the letters, I see an M, an N, and a K. M, N, and K. Coefficients, numbers in front. In front of the M is that 7. In front of the N is a -1. And in front of the K, a -8. Okay, last one. Constant is the -5. Great job. Okay, last page of notes. So on top it says, when plus or minus signs separate an algebraic expression into parts, each part is a term. The numerical factor of a term that contains a variable is called a coefficient. A term that does not contain a variable is called a constant. Okay, we already learned all that stuff. Okay, so I am actually going to, well, let's pause. You guys actually in class, pause. And if you're watching this at home, feel free to pause too and try these guys on your own. Okay, identify terms, coefficients and constants, and then I'm gonna do them right now, obviously, because it's a video and you can pause it. Okay, so 17. So hopefully you tried those on your own. 17, our terms are 3, 7x, 3x, and x. Okay, our coefficients, we have the numbers in front of variables. I have a 7 and a 3 and a 1. 7, 3, and 1. And then our constant is the 3. Okay, notice that if you have 4 terms, 1, 2, 3, 4, then your coefficients, 1, 2, 3, plus your constant should equal 4. You can never have something that is both a coefficient and a constant, okay? It either has a variable or it doesn't. Okay, 18. So our terms are y, 3y, 8y, and 2. Our coefficients, 1, 3, and 8. And our constant is 2. Okay, 19. Terms, 1, 2, 3, 4 again, 2a, 5c, negative a, and 6a. Okay, our coefficients, 2, 5, negative 1, and 6. Ooh, all of these. 2, 5, negative a, or whoops, not negative a, negative 1, excuse me, and 6. Okay, do we have any constants left? Any numbers that are right by themselves? Nope. No constants. None. Okay, number 20. We have 5c, negative 2d, 3d, and d. 5c, negative 2d, 3d, and negative d. Okay, our coefficients, 5, negative 2, 3, and negative 1. 5, negative 2, positive 3, negative 1. Okay, any constants in this one? Nope, there are none, right? 4 terms, 4 coefficients, so there's no constants. Okay, 21 and 22. Terms, 1, 2, 3, we have 6m, negative 2n, and 7. Okay, our coefficients, 6 and negative 2. And then our constant, 7. Okay, 22. 1, 2, 3, 4 terms, 7x, negative 3y, 3z, negative 2. Coefficients, 1, 2, 3 in front of variables, 7, negative 3, and 3. And our constants, just one of them, negative 2. Alrighty, you guys, that is all of our notes today. I know it took a while, but great job. I will see you in class, obviously, right now. If you're here at school. If you're not, great job.